855-192. Want to give me a text, AlanCoxShow.com to watch live. Thank you again to Fluggy Pugstone. He's really killing it back there in the video department. And your Guardians are back home tonight. And for the remainder of the regular season, they start at the first of 3 tonight, a little bit early for this show. 6:10 is when it will start tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday, all 3 games against the Tampa Bay Rays, who are away from their home turf at a time where probably they're happy to maybe not be down there. This thing that's bearing down on Tampa, if you've seen any of the videos that people have been posting, looks terrifying. This is not usually the kind of storm that Tampa gets. I think they said it's been about 100 years since they've gotten what could hit landfall there on the Gulf side of Tampa, or Florida rather, as a Category 4. Blew through Cuba. It's hammering Key West now. I know Mark is our bureau chief down in Key West. People that listen on the iHeartRadio app, a lot of them in Florida. A lot of people in Florida. We got about half a dozen in the Tampa area. And for all intents and purposes, they're telling people in Tampa, if you can get out of town, you should do it. Because they're looking at models. If you've watched any of these models, it's just going to sit over Tampa Bay. Just the way some of these things do. When they hit landfall, they slow down before they move on, but it's going to hit at about 120 miles per hour. And then Saturday morning, I was looking kind of at the timeline, it'll hit Savannah. Sunday morning, Atlanta and Charlotte. By that time, it's down to about 30 miles an hour. But again, if you're talking about wind speed, 30 miles an hour, yeah, it ain't 120, but it's not 5. And so I assume that obviously it'll be considerably slowed, but that's usually the time where if we're in the path of something like that, we just get a lot of rain. But next week, it looks like it's going to be sunny and 68. So I don't know. I'll leave that to the weather department here at iHeartMedia. But Hurricane Ian is what's making everybody in Tampa pucker. Because I was reading a thing. I really don't know much about Tampa. I've been to Florida a number of times, never been to Tampa. But I guess just the geography and the topography of it, there's a lot of low-lying areas there and a lot of nooks and crannies where a storm like this can really knock something loose. They said that it's the worst-case scenario for that area. What else is down there? Is Fort Myers on the... Is that by Tampa?
I have no idea. We went there for when my uncle died. There's a Clearwater Beach. It's by Clearwater Beach.
Is that?
I think St. Petersburg, Clearwater Beach.
Okay.
Clearwater
St. Pete,
Beach.
You're right.
Is gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
I've been there because I worked at the Tampa Improv a long time ago, and it was during the day. One day, my ex-wife went with me, and we went out to Clearwater Beach. Had a great time
really
there.
Pretty.
And then the best tacos I ever had were at a place called some like Alaskan
Taco
tacos.
Bell.
Yes, that's what it was, and they were so good.
Well, it's not far from Lakeland, Florida, which is where a lot of MLB teams have their spring training. The Grapefruit League, I think is what they call it. The Guardians are in the what do they call it, the Cactus League?
Yeah,
because they're out in the desert. But when I was out in Detroit, I did things for the Tigers, and they would have spring training in Lakeland, Florida. And that's not that far from there. So anyway, our bureau chiefs in Tampa, we got you on the brain.
So they're saying
Be safe.
Thursday morning is when it's going to start.
Yeah, Wednesday into Thursday, I think is what it said. Now, the Florida Aquarium is right there in Tampa, too. And so maybe best case scenario is that everyone wakes up and all of this marine life has been returned to its natural habitat.
Sharknado.
Yeah. Sharknado.
Real life. That's
A real life
yeah.
Sharknado. I mean, Busch Gardens is down there. Ybor City, is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, that's where the improv
Ybor
is.
City. Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's like
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ybor City Improv.
It's like a little historic area. It's really pretty. Kind of reminds me of Savannah, Georgia. Like the cobblestone.
It's got to be Ybor City sounds like a Cuban thing.
Big old buildings, yeah.
So there's that whole thing. If you want to leave us messages longer than 30 seconds, you've got the Alan Cox Show After Hours line at your disposal. So remember that. It is 216. Hold on, let me find my call here first. 216-986-8903.
Hey, Alan, John and Mayfield listening to the podcast, and I am once again enlightened by Poundcake, knowing about the entertainment industry. However, I don't understand exactly how, if Taylor Swift has recorded a bunch of songs that she can't perform now, how re-recording them would somehow make them able to be performed and Scooter Braun not get paid. It just doesn't make much sense. Now, I would say that Poundcake typically knows everything about pop culture, so maybe he's right on this one, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Love the show, or hate the show, or something like that. See ya.
Poundcake, can you illuminate him? Because I had the same question. I just didn't raise it when we were talking.
Can I actually try my best to explain it?
Sure.
I don't want to steal your thunder, though.
Go ahead.
But we are going to get to Perez Bilton a little bit later on.
But
I hope I'm not stepping on Perez Bilton's toes.
No. Perez Bilton's got a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about. Here's what I think Poundcake was trying to explain. So if she were to do the Super Bowl halftime show, that means you don't get paid for that. She has the rights to perform those songs. However, all the sales that are going to happen are going to go to Scooter Braun because the original albums are going to be the ones that people go and buy.
So she has to physically put all of her catalog out again.
Catalog out again so that she can say, don't go get the old versions, get the new versions, because that's the money that goes to me, not Scooter, because he owns the masters of those. She owns the songs, but she doesn't own those recordings. Am I right, Poundcake?
Does she have to zhuzh them up, or does she just do them note for note?
She has zhuzhed them up because when was it last year when she released them all again?
Well, she released I think her first album, first and second album, because it's obviously going to take time.
But she did longer versions of them,
and
right?
she had
some songs where she's like, well, here's the original version of it, but then here's an expanded version of it.
And then she does bonus tracks on there to increase sales on that.
Yeah.
But essentially, that's correct. Essentially, the contracts that she signed says that there's a master. She has the right to perform her songs because she wrote them. So she is the composer, but she is not the owner of those. Just like this is your show, Alan, but it's owned by iHeart.
Mm-hmm.
So
Dave, iHeart Media has all my tapes.
So if you were to go away, then all the content that we had on this show, iHeart owns it, and they can do whatever they want with those. That's exactly how...
the amazing content. They can just put it out there willy-nilly, however they see fit.
Do their own ghost bag spinoff.
That's right.
So it's not that she doesn't get paid. She just doesn't get the percentage she would get if she owned her own masters.
Right.
And not only...
Which is why she's re-recording it all.
Yes, and not only is it the master recordings, it's like the artwork that she put in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the album art, and you know all the merch like that. He owns Taylor Swift the brand, not Taylor Swift the person, and that's what she's angry about.
In those years, though, in those
years, her
for
first,
that merchandise that.
Her first six albums,
right.
Essentially re-recording is a legal loophole where there's a certain time, like we can exploit you for this period of time for these amount of albums, and then after that the deal is up. So you can either buy back the albums or you can re-record them. So it's a legal loophole that artists do. And as she is re-recording her new album or her old albums, it makes the original albums devalued. Because now it's like, well, we can get this anywhere, and it's not exclusive anymore.
She still has control over the streaming rights, correct? Because she's very particular about what goes on.
Yes, because she's the composer.
Yes.
So she's the composer.
So she can
that's the thing. You can either take. So if Scooter was like, "Hey Taylor," he has to ask her like, "Hey, can we put this on here?" She can say no because the song is still copyrighted. She is the composer. He can't release it without her consent. Mm-hmm. She just can't. It's ridiculous how it works.
Ain't nobody owns me.
I
don't know what you're talking about. Nobody owns
I wasn't
Ghost
talking to you, Ghost Bag. I was talking about Taylor Swift.
I heard somebody say that this company can do whatever they want to do with Ghost Bag. Ain't nobody owns Ghost Bag. Ghost Bag owns Ghost Bag.
Well, you're dead, so I'm not concerned about what Ghost Bag does.
Who cares if I'm dead, baby? Nobody owns me. I do what I want.
Okay, well then you're excused from this
I know
conversation.
that.
Can I get back to making my point?
No.
It's not very often I make points.
Everybody's, you ain't making one now. I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody wants to hear you talk about Taylor Swift. They want to talk about Ghost Bag's show this weekend. You didn't get the memo, did you? Ghost Bag getting his own show, sucker.
I wasn't looking.
You weren't looking at what? You were looking the other way, baby.
Stop calling me baby. Get on my nerves.
I can call you, after the awful, awful things I've seen you do, I can call you whatever I want. I can call you my little cupcake. I can call you little, I see you go to Pound Town on yourself.
Voyeurism is illegal. You know that, right?
It is not. Not in the afterlife. That's all we do is watch people, baby. We watch people all day long. But you're ignoring my point. Ghost Bag getting his own show this weekend.
No one cares.
You just wait. When I'll be spinning 3 hours of heavy metal on Saturday night. It's gonna be Ghost Bag's Metal Mania.
Bye, Ghost Bag.
Ghost Bag's Heavy Metal Get Down is what it's gonna be called.
Hey,
Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody's already using that. The Ghost Bag's Metal Emporium. So I'll work it out. I'll figure it out.
Get on my nerves.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, baby.
Stop calling me baby. You piss me off. Oh. Now I know how women feel when they just get, like, catcalled. I feel taken advantage of.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Was that a whistle? What is that?
That's Ghost Bag's cat call. You don't know what a cat call is? What do you think a cat call is?
I do know what a cat call is.
Oh, well, that's what my whistle was.
Well, that's a pathetic whistle. You ain't got no lips.
Hey, I don't need no lips. I'm Ghost Bag.
How you feel some people laughing at you?
I like it.
Oh.
Nobody ever said anything Ghost Bag before. Everybody just whipped it out. Did whatever they wanted to do around Ghost Bag.
I wouldn't have whipped it out had I known you were there.
Well, look how far I've come, Poundcake. I started looking at your bottom, and now I'm here. How you like it? Anyway, I just want everybody to tune in this weekend from 3 to 4 a.m.
You got a 1-hour show dead set in the morning on a Saturday?
Ghost Bag Heavy Metal Emporium, baby. All right, I'll talk to you later. I gotta go do some other stuff. All right, later. Nobody owns Ghost Bag. Just remember that.
Bye, Ghost Bag.
Bye, Poundcake.
Hey, call me Poundcake.
Sucker.
Hate him.
Well, he's hateable, right?
you guys make a good team,
I
though.
like him.
You guys have a
He's
good
nice.
back and forth.
Why don't you?
A lot of chemistry.
Yeah, why don't you co-host the Ghost Bag Metal Emporium?
I
3 to 4 a.m.
You couldn't pay me. I mean, you could. How much you paying?
I mentioned, the Detroit Tigers. We were talking about Lakeland and all that. And when I was on in Detroit for a number of years, I went to I was asked to be on a couple of like media panels along the way. I was on the air there about 5 years. And there was a guy who worked at one of the news stations. There's like a big AM news talk in Detroit. And then there's one that's all news, News Radio 950. It's a station called WWJ. And one of the other guys on this panel was their overnight news anchor. There's a guy named Jim Matthews. And he got murdered in his house by I put friend in air quotes, but a guy he knew. He got murdered in his house by some dude that his family knew. He killed him. They just arraigned the guy. They stabbed his girlfriend and her son. The woman is out of critical condition, but her 10-year-old is still in the hospital. In his house. He knew the guy, I guess. And the guy showed up and they let him in. I guess this guy went crazy or something. They're trying to figure out what happened. But this pretty well-known news anchor on the radio there in Detroit got stabbed to death in his house. His girlfriend found him. She was there with him, but the girlfriend, and they have a kid. There's like another kid that wasn't involved or something. I don't know. The woman and her daughter ran from the house. The woman got like stabbed in the face or something. I don't know.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah. The 10-year-old boy was like tied up, and it was a whole thing.
You think the face is the most painful part of your body to be stabbed in? Like your cheek?
Maybe the butt.
More than your face?
Well, the most painful part of your body to be stabbed. Painful or potentially fatal.
Bottom of the foot? That would hurt bad.
I mean, if you've ever stepped on a nail
or
as
a
a
Lego.
kid. Yeah. Or a Lego.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that too. It's pretty wild. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Alan. Hate the show.
Hey, thanks. Mike checks in with us from time to time from the west coast of Ohio. He's a valued correspondent out there on the coast.
Yeah, so I did want to clear one thing up, but before I get to that, I just wanted to explain. Getting stabbed in, like, your armpit is by far the worst, and here's why. If you've ever, like, not rolled up the deodorant enough and then, like, caught yourself with the plastic and scratched yourself,
yeah,
it's not the initial scratch. It's that it just never heals. It's always wet and swampy. It's always moving up and down, so it's just the worst.
I'll take your word. Yeah, it sounds awful. It sounds terrible. It sounds borderline fatal. Yeah.
So you need to slow down with
Enough
how
on Mary's comedy, though.
Hey.
You what?
I did want to talk about Taylor Swift's royalties. You guys all work in the music industry transgently, so I don't understand how it can be so cringeworthy. Like yesterday, listening to Poundcake stumble through it, and then today. So first off, there's generally a large fund at every venue who sells tickets. Like you can play any cover song anytime for free, no matter what. That's compulsory. It's free. There's no royalties. But if you sell tickets, there's a general fund that they pay into, similar to how streaming works, where the venue covers it, not any artists.
You need a
In
license,
the case of Taylor Swift, no, venues have that. Anybody who's Ticketmaster or that, they do that.
But that might not always work.
For the Super Bowl, there's one special thing. It's when you record or distribute said cover, that's when you have to pay. So when they're putting it out on TV, there's a large amount of money that would be paid out to Scooter Braun because he owns the rights to those songs and they're played on national TV. So that's where the money comes in. It's pretty straightforward.
But why do you think we would know this?
You guys work on a radio that plays music all day?
Yeah, but we don't.
We have nothing. We do a talk show for one thing.
We do that part.
I've been working a radio for 30 years. I don't know who gets paid from the venue and the artist and the label.
I did know some of this. I remember some of it from college, and they told us about how covers, they are covered under like a certain law where it's fair game or whatever. I forget what it's called, but it's
fair use.
Fair use. But
I do like fair game though.
So if you play
Billy
Baldwin
Baldwin,
at a fair,
Cindy Crawford,
you're covered. Like it's safe. You don't have to pay the.
But not always. It depends if the venue does not.
Fair.
I've got to take a break.
Oh man!
And it was just getting to the good part.
We're just learning all the
thank you,
ins
Mike,
and
from
outs.
the west coast of Ohio. Thank you, pal. Always illuminating. I got to take a break. I will have those Night Ranger tickets for you on the way back. It's the second year for the Danny Rapepi Memorial Concert that's going on at Playhouse Square on November the 9th. Night Ranger and the Contemporary Youth Orchestra. So if you want to get to that show, it's a good one. It's a big one. I'll have those for you after the break. 35192 on a text, and we'll be back.
It's the Alan Cox Show.